everyone, and welcome to Inside the Newsroom. I'm Maddie Paul. Inside the Newsroom, we bring you the trending stories of the KELOLAND area. And my favorite part, as I say every day, is we bring in our newsroom staff members to talk about these stories. And these just happen to be the same stories that you hear every day on our newscasts and online at KELOLAND.com. Happy Wednesday. It's time to get into what is trending across the KELOLAND area. And to start off, I have to talk a little bit about KELOLAND Plus. There's been a lot of changes with KELOLAND Plus recently here for our station, and we're really excited about it. And there's lots of ways for you to know when you can watch certain shows on KELOLAND Plus. I want to show you one of those ways today. So something that we offer on our website is a little alert notification at the top left of our home screen page that shows you what show is on and if it's live or not. And then you just click on it and it takes you to the KELOLAND Plus live stream so you can just watch the show right away. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So if we go to the website, which ta-da, we're here at the website. This is what I mean. You'll see a little icon at the top of KELOLAND.com in the left section, right above the news section from our website, and it will show you which show is live. So right now with this icon, we can see that whether or not is live right now. So, okay, you want to find out and you want to watch for yourself, it's just as easy as a click. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. It takes us to our watch section of KELOLAND Plus. To find this on your own, you do have to go to our watch section and then you can see Watch KELOLAND Plus and it will take you right here. There's an ad playing right now, but what you would see on this page is the weather or not stream or whatever would be playing live right there. I'm going to adjust the screen just a little bit so we can see it better. So it's on an ad break right now, but also on this Watch KELOLAND Plus section, you could see all of our programming, and that just means what is our schedule. What do we have planned out for the whole day so that you can see it on KELOLAND Plus. And then you can look here and there's a more in-depth schedule too, a description of shows, which is always great. And that is the watch section for KELOLAND Plus. Again, that is located at that top left corner on KELOLAND.com. That is just one way to know what is live on KELOLAND Plus in an easy and accessible way for you to watch it. KELOLAND Plus is free to watch live on our website. After 5 minutes, it will ask you to put in your email address as like a registration, but that's it. And then you can still watch for free anytime on KELOLAND.com. We also offer the KELOLAND Plus watch stream on our app, so make sure you go ahead and look at that too. I believe we have a story coming on tonight about that, in fact. So stay tuned for our evening newscast if you want to hear more about that. That's a KELOLAND Plus update, so I think it's time to bring in some newsroom staff members and talk about some more trending stories in the area. How about this? A recent Eye on KELOLAND story titled, How Vaccine Hesitancy Can Become Conviction in South Dakota. A strong headline for a strong story. Let's find out more when we come back after the break. And welcome back to Inside the Newsroom. The overall rates for required childhood vaccinations in South Dakota have dropped in recent years, while religious exemptions for shots have risen. Only a moment or two on the internet or even social media can quickly display just how much false or misleading information is readily available about vaccines. In a recent Eye on KELOLAND story, Dan Santella explored how vaccine hesitancy can become conviction in South Dakota. Dan, thank you for joining me at the digital desk. And I want to start off by saying conviction is such a powerful word, and it makes my eyebrow raise a little. But I love that it's in this headline. You know, your headline is How Vaccine Hesitancy Can Become Conviction in South Dakota. So how'd you come up with this headline?
Well, we see the hesitancy around required vaccinations for South Dakota kids. We also, though, see conviction as well. And a few people reminded me in my interviews, Carmen Toft with South Dakota Families for Vaccines and the Secretary of the South Dakota Department of Health said, hey, look, still 90%. That's a very high majority. And we hear resoundingly from experts that these credibly recommended vaccines are safe, and there's a lot of conviction around them as well, not just from experts, but from many, many, many thousands of South Dakota parents.
You know, you talked to, I believe, 6 people for this story. That's a lot for, honestly, an Eye on KELOLAND story, and even for any story that we just produced for any of our newscasts. So why did you want to gather so much perspective?
It's an issue that has a lot of people's attention, and people have very emotional reactions to it at times. I didn't just want to talk to one doctor. I wanted to talk to more than one doctor. I wanted to talk to a nurse who also is involved in public policy. That's Taylor Rayfeld. Sanford Health was able to find me that Natasha Smith, who is so helpful, who works for Sanford, and she herself was once quite vaccine hesitant, now an advocate for it. Always behooves you to reach out to the South Dakota Department of Health and the secretary there, Magstad. And then South Dakota Families for Vaccines is another group I have been wanting to talk to for a while. That's Carmen Toft right there. You need a lot of different opinions. This is not, an opinion held by some. This is not a stance held by some people in the medical community. No, this is resoundingly what the consensus is. We know about the vaccine safety. We know about their efficacy. They are studied under a very tight microscope, and I think more voices is better.
And what stood out to you the most as you put this story together? How did you find yourself becoming passionate about your reporting for this story?
Oh, no one was advocating at all for mandatory vaccines, forcing anyone to receive vaccines. There is a religious exemption in South Dakota that is available. Everyone with whom I spoke talked about people having the opportunity to make this decision and to have information readily available. The South Dakota Families for Vaccines, Carmen Toft said, listen, we want to be a resource, and that's not just for someone who's enthusiastically sharing their stance, but someone who might enthusiastically disagree with them as well. Like I said, the evidence is settled and clear. It's been clear many times over that vaccines work and are safe. We know they don't cause autism. We know that. And it was interesting to talk to these different voices about how they handle a conversation that, yes, at times can be with heightened voices.
And you were able to break up this story yesterday for both our 6 o'clock and our 10 o'clock newscasts. I just feel like you have a lot of information that you're always able to share, Dan. So what was your process for breaking up the story for two different newscasts and being two different stories?
So many voices and their thoughts on hesitancy, but also conviction about vaccines. Their expert opinion and perspectives and what they've seen and experienced, have that be the later story with sort of a lot from their interviews. But we got to look at the data here as well. And South Dakota Department of Health has a helpful dashboard on their website that breaks down recent years and required vaccinations, the 4 for kindergartners and the 2 for 6th graders, and where those have been. So with a lot of help from our Ray Yost, I created some graphs that plotted those, right? The general trends for the downward for the required vaccinations in recent years, and then the trend upwards for more religious exemptions. Because we want to look at that. We want to say, what does the data say? It's right there on the South Dakota Department of Health's website, but then we wanted to synthesize it into a handful of graphs. And so at the end I had 3. Kindergarten required vaccinations, what those have done, trending down. Okay, let's look at 6th graders, similar pattern, right? And then the religious exemptions for both. So that'd be both kindergarten and 6th graders, and how those have risen notably in years. So those are the 3 graphics I include in the 6 o'clock story, and they were the lion's share or a lot of that story. And then the graphs are also in this story on our website too.
Is there anything else that you think our viewers should know about the story, Dan, or anything that you hope they take away from it?
The people whom I interviewed were eager to talk about this, not only with me, but they want to talk to parents too. They welcome conversations. I think that was a near verbatim quote from Dr. Ashley Sands with Sanford Health. And Taylor Rayfeld, the Republican lawmaker from Sioux Falls, she herself is a nurse, she's a mom, and she says she does have these conversations with people that she knows. And she says people should have all the information, absolutely, and there's so many sources out there, from the American Academy of Pediatrics to the FDA. The physician with Avera, Dr. Rick Koima, talked about the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia as another great resource. There's a lot of garbage on the internet, yes, but there's a lot of really good databases and different sources, Lancet, JAMA, New England Journal of Medicine, where you can see the evidence right available a click or two or tap away.
Dan, thank you so much for sharing these details here at the Digital Desk. And everyone, stick around. We still have more trending stories to get to here for Inside the Newsroom. Up next, we're looking at how Minnehaha County reviews Sioux Empire Fair and adds an extra holiday. Find out more when we come back on Inside the Newsroom after the break. And welcome back to Inside the Newsroom, a recap of the Sioux Empire Fair, alcohol license compliance checks, and an additional paid holiday for Minnehaha County employees were all up for discussion at the most recent Minnehaha County Board of Commissioners meeting. Digital reporter Michael Dorn took a listen and wrote up a very detailed report for our website, and he joins us now at the Digital Desk to talk about it. Michael, let's start off with the Sioux Empire Fair, everybody's favorite, right? What did you learn from the report?
Yeah, so I learned a couple of interesting tidbits here. So this is their yearly report that they present here to the Minnehaha County Commission here. So a couple of interesting tidbits here. So the fair brought in $1.4 million around that mark here, with that also the revenue expenses being around $1.3 million. So the total net payment for them here was around $190,000 this year. They broke down their expenses, what they spent this year on entertainment, things like that. They kind of all broke that down, basically saying that they kind of had to pull back a little bit on spending on entertainment this year, just because some of those bigger acts were a little bit out of their reach for this year. But basically breaking down that. And another interesting thing I learned about the fair here was they don't actually track by attendance numbers for these reports. They just track by revenue. They basically said that you can have 100,000 people come into the fair, but if none of them are spending any money, those numbers get a little skewed, which was a point they brought up. So now they just kind of track those revenue numbers, was what they said.
Interesting to learn. And you divided your report into 3 sections. And after the fair was the alcohol license compliance checks. So what did you want to highlight the most with that section?
Yeah, so obviously there's the Red Rock Bar here that had failed a compliance check and now has received their new license here. So anyone that fails their license or fails a compliance check of any kind that holds an alcohol license has to come back in front of the county commission and kind of plead their case to them. Basically say what they've done in the meantime, additional training, if they passed any additional compliance checks, that sort of thing. This also kind of delved into the most recent batch of compliance checks they did back here in October, where most of the businesses passed here. I believe they tested 62 of them, and almost all but 3 failed. So that's quite an interesting thing there too, I think.
And what is this graph or bar
so
list?
that is all the businesses in Minnehaha County that they tested for that passed. So everything you're seeing in those boxes are the businesses that passed.
Okay, and then this is the 3 that didn't.
And then those 3 at the bottom are the ones that did not pass the compliance check here.
And then here's that last section that you had in your report. It was that December 26th holiday. I feel like that must have been the easiest one to write up. But what did you learn from that one?
Yeah, so basically this comes from out of the county commission. Basically, December 26th is on a Friday this year, so that's the day after Christmas. So the reasoning they gave was since a lot of other offices are closed, the state offices are closed, the offices of the justice system are closed, and I believe the offices of the city of Sioux Falls are also closed on that December 26th day. So they decided that they would also attempt to close this date here. So just because a lot of the county offices rely on those offices of other state agencies to reach out and get things done for them, they just decided they would ultimately give that extra day off to employees. So they would take that long weekend there after Christmas here.
Easy as that. Sounds great. I want it too. But, something that you brought up earlier with the Sioux Empire Fair was, it was such an interesting fact with attendance versus revenue. Was there anything else that surprised you from the meeting itself or the reports?
No, I think that's mostly it here.
I think you covered it well. Well, thank you so much for coming here to the Digital Desk, Michael. And everyone stick around because up next, we're looking at how Fight Like a Ninja hockey tournament is coming back for its 10th year. So stay with us. Inside the Newsroom will return after the break. And welcome back to Inside the Newsroom. There's a hockey tournament this weekend that supports both the sport and mental health. Summer Roddershot gives us a sneak peek of what to expect and how its impact reaches far beyond the tournament.
A weekend full of hockey is a promise at the Shields Iceplex for the Fight Like a Ninja hockey tournament.
This year is our biggest tournament ever. We will have 18 teams joining us from all over the Midwest. We've got 19U, 16U, 14U, and 12U all coming to join us this year, and groups at each level. We'll play over 50 hockey games this weekend.
While the players will be tearing up the ice, the weekend has a much deeper meaning than what's happening in the rink.
So many kids that are playing sports need that mentally strong backing for them. And so this is a great way to bring them all together for the hockey that we all love, and also slide in that message about hope and mental health awareness and mental strength while we're doing it.
This is the 10th year that Angela Drake has put on this tournament in honor of her daughter Brittany, who died by suicide.
Originally, we started in 2016, the year Brittany died. I just wanted to bring all the girls back together to play this game we love. And what I realized that year is that we could make a bigger impact. And so each year we've been able to add on more and more impact to not just the girls that come to play, but their families and their friends that come too.
Giving people a weekend full of hockey and mental health support.
Come for the hockey, stay for the hope is kind of the tagline that I have on my heart for this year. It's not just about the hockey. It's really, truly so much more to get that message that they can start a conversation for themselves or somebody that they care about.
And Summer Roddershot joins us at the digital desk to talk more about this story. Summer, I'd love to see you play hockey.
Oh my gosh, could you imagine? I think
you tear it up on the ice, just as you said.
I think if I maybe, the ice part is the part that I'm really worried about.
Oh, like the actual skating?
Yeah, the actual skating part. Like the actually hitting with the puck, maybe. The skating part,
I've done a story before, like a year or so ago, on an ice rink, and I didn't have skates on, but it was just like my sneakers or something. And even just like scooting across the ice is terrifying for me.
it's daunting.
But anyway, I just think it would be fun to see you out there, like a little stand up or something, because you'd just be knocking it out of the park. I'd love to see
Or
it.
knocking my head. One of them.
One way or the other. You know, this story for me was a lot of fun, and I wanted to start off with something lighthearted, even though this story does touch on mental health struggles and the impacts of suicide for those who are surviving. I felt like the story was just hopeful and fun. And I really think that your interview with Angela and her personality just really brought that out. What was the tone that you were aiming for this story?
You know, I think the tone we were aiming for is both how to get help, but also that help is there and we can do it in a fun way. Because, you know, you can't just necessarily walk up to, I mean, you can, but walk up to people like, are you struggling with your mental health?
Yeah.
Like this tournament is about starting those conversations with people, but it's also about showing them like sort of that it's okay to have mental health struggles. You know, Angela says that, you know, a lot of these people who are in sports, there's a lot of pressure on you when you're in sports. And so in order to know that, okay, mental health is available and it's something that should be normalized in these sports, you know? And so like, okay, not all, a lot of people have mental health struggles. It's okay to talk about it. It's okay to be open about that. So I think it is supposed to be a little bit more of a lighter-hearted story so that people feel more open about the situation.
Have you done stories with Angela before?
Yeah, so I've known Angela for about a year now. I actually met her on something completely unrelated to Fight Like a Ninja, which is the organization, the nonprofit, but it sort of just has progressed. And when I see her and her organization and all the things that they're doing for mental health, because they have this hockey tournament, she also has this Reach and Caring companion program that she helps out with. She does all these cool. She partnered with McDonald's for a fundraiser for Shamrock Shakes back in the St. Patrick's Day holiday month, whichever one that is. So no, I've done a lot with her, but because of the circumstances that Angela has gone through, losing a daughter 10 years ago, but how she's turned that situation has made her such a great voice and advocate for mental health and getting the help that you need. So I sort of keep going back to her, but it's because she's doing amazing things.
Yeah, I really think that her interview, in my opinion, helped really bring life to this story.
100%.
And like, I think it's, again, like her personality, but like for you and your experience, how did that interview shape and help create this story?
You know, I think she emanates hope. You know, like when you see her, you sort of feel a little bit more hopeful. Like, okay, even if you have been struggling, there is hope, and there's people like Angela, and she has this whole army of people that she works with that are willing to help you. So I think she shapes it, but I think she's also just that poster child for there's hope out there, and I want to help you find it.
Is that what you hope viewers take away from the story?
Yeah, I hope whether you are involved in sports or you're not involved in sports, I think the main thing is just, you know, there is help out there. And if maybe you don't struggle with your mental health, to sort of inspire you to start those conversations, you know, like if there's somebody that you think might be struggling, it literally does not hurt at all for you to just be like, hey, how have you been doing? That's, I think, like, if you aren't struggling with mental health, that's what they want you to take away from this tournament, is just start that conversation with people and ask them how they're doing, because that can open a doorway to getting people the help that they may need.
Is there anything else that you think our viewers should know about this story or about the weekend event?
Yeah, so they are still looking for volunteers. So we tagged in my story online about how you can volunteer. But they're doing everything that day, from, you know, probably scorekeeping to raffle stuff. I can't even tell you everything that's going on. Angela was telling me yesterday the whole like myriad of events, and I'm like, you are going to be very busy, literally. So they still need volunteers. So if you have some free time this weekend, you can go help out.
And that's located on our story online too?
Yes, correct.
Perfect. Love to hear it. Well, Summer, I think that's all the time that we have for this interview and for Inside the Newsroom. You're going to do a wave with me, okay? I love to end on a wave.
I love
the last segment.
This is the fun wave. Okay.
Yep, the fun wave. So until next time, have a great day, everyone.
Bye.